Construction management, general contractor, contracting method, public hearing for the Forest Grove School District is called to order at 7:02 p.m. This is an opportunity for public comment regarding the use of the construction management, general contractor, contracting, public hearing. Contract construction of the replacement of Cornelius Elementary School and the exemption from competitive bidding requirements per ORS 279C. We allow 5 minutes,
Yes.
5-minute hearing for public comment.
Okay.
Well, actually, having you come up, it'll be action items, so we just need to wait 5 minutes for the public comment.
This includes the budget. This includes the contracting method hearing and public testimony regarding the 2022-2023 Forest Grove School District Construction Management General Contractor (FGSD) contracting method hearing. Hearing is adjourned at 7:07 p.m. We'll now leave the hearing and move into the regular board meeting. So we'll call the January 23rd, January 9th, 2023 Forest Grove School District Board of Directors meeting called to order at 7:07 p.m. Roll call, board members present, Mark Everett, board chair present.
Valerie Ingram, present.
Kate Granduski, present.
Brad DeFerrell, present.
And Narce Rodriguez and Miley Vernon are not with us this evening. So we can flag salute.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a quick introduction of the audience this evening. Mr. Morgan, we'll just go straight down that road.
Kevin Ray, Car, David Warner, Communications, John O'Neill, Assistant Superintendent.
Kim Scherer, Director of Student Services.
Eileen Clute, Business.
Enrique Pignon, Technology.
Rick Winone with Cornerstone Management.
Perfect, thank you. Approval of tonight's agenda, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, so moved and seconded. We'll call vote on that. I'm a yes.
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 Okay, thank you. Student representative report, Valerie is going to read that this evening.
Miley sent in her student representative report earlier today, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Girls and boys basketball have their first league game tomorrow against Sherwood at home. The girls will start at 5:45 and the boys start at 7:15. The theme is a winter wonderland. This Friday, the Sparrow Assembly is going to be held from 9:42 to 10:12. They would love to see us there if we can make it. I'm guessing she'll have more details about their Sparrow next time. February 11th is the Latinos in Action Winter Formal. ASB has been and is working on organizing and finding what is missing in the school from student perspectives and how they can help use that information to make the school better. While ASB is working on that, Renaissance leadership is working on a VAPA assembly, probably will happen sometime in February. VAPA. Sorry, I don't know what the acronym VAPA is standing for. HAAPI, which is Hawaiian Asian American Pacific Islander Club, is going to start decorating for the Chinese New Year. And last but not least, Unified Basketball has home games at 5, 6, and 7 on January 11th. If you'd love to go support them, we would appreciate it. Thanks, that is from Miley.
Good, thank you. Well, Mr. Parker,
I have just a couple of announcements. One is I just want to give you an update of where we're at with our SRO. We are ready to take action. The city is still trying to, they have officers who are at the academy and they cannot yet release an officer to us. So we're still working through that process. We are getting closer and we'll start into the hiring process according to the contract that we've written it. Anytime soon. I mean, we're just really waiting for their staffing to come up to par. Bond Oversight Committee, the next board meeting, I'll spend some time, Eileen will spend some time talking about the Bond Oversight Committee, what its roles are, what the process is. But this is, I just want to kind of highlight it because of it will be the bond committee, but it'll be kind of the way that we make sure that we provide transparency into what's going on with the bond and our community. So we'll present that process at the next board meeting. The Cornelius Design Committee, we're looking for a board member who will sit on the Cornelius Design Committee. I think it's really important that one of you is kind of there as the conversations are happening around its design. And I think it'll be easier for communication if somebody is there. The basic design committee, I think it's about a once a month kind of commitment, but it'll be with, there's other committees out there, but this will be the main one that lasts through most of the process. So if you're interested, let me know, and we'll start narrowing down kind of who that could be, but we just want to make sure that we get somebody to serve on that.
When would the meetings be? Do you guys know the time frame? Like,
We're looking at Wednesday evenings. But it would be the second or the third Wednesday of each month is what was proposed. Yes.
how long do you think those meetings will last? An hour, 2 hours?
I wouldn't expect any more than
No.
that.
Right.
Okay,
How long?
an hour. I think,
Usually better than
Hour.
at least we put an hour and a half, would be a safe thing to say.
In 1 and 2 hours.
Would be safe.
And then last, I just wanted to highlight that the Forest Grove School District is hosting the 2023 Unified Basketball Invitational for elementary, middle, and high school students here in Forest Grove, Saturday, January 28th, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Forest Grove High School. Volunteers are still needed. The time commitments vary. If you're interested in volunteering, please contact Abby Zumwalt or Jill Carey. Again, our unified sports are actually
What day was that?
on January 28th.
There'll be a link in your memo for Sign Up Genius if you want to sign up for.
Okay, great. I know, it's like,
And as my last comment, I would just say that our own Kathy Barnson was given an award at the city town council for her, I would say, acts of bravery, but for her, stellar citizen. So, congratulations.
Congratulations.
congrats. One other quick thing on the calendar notes, on that same day, January 28th, I think it's the Hall of Fame dinner. You guys want to go and support some Hall of Famers? My friend Ted Fair, three sport athletes, getting recognized. We're excited about that. If that's something where you can get tickets at the athletic house.
All right, thank you. Unscheduled public appearance. The board appreciates community members sharing information during public comments. Public comments will be made in person or submitted through the designated form on the web page to be read by district staff or registered Zoom participants who indicated through the form they wanted to provide the comment live. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes as is protocol for board meetings. Public criticism or complaints about school district personnel are not allowed at this time. Are there any public comments? Okay. All right, move down to the consent agenda. The consent agenda is made up of routine, non-controversial items to be voted on under one motion. Are there any items within the consent items a board member or the superintendent wishes to put in? No? Okay. All right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
second,
It's been seconded. All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Kate,
yes,
Brad,
Yes.
Val,
Yes,
and I'm a yes as well, so that motion passes. We have 2 action items. The first one is construction management general contractor contracting method. Finding of fact, Mr. Renone from Cornerstone.
Good evening, Board Chair Everett, Board Superintendent Parker, other staff members and board members who are joining us virtually. My name is Rick Renone. I'm the president of Cornerstone Management Group. I've had the pleasure of doing about 100 bond programs in Oregon. And we're working on our third one here in Forest Grove, so we get opportunity to work a lot of different places along the way. The state, in its infinite wisdom, has a document called the ORS. It's Oregon Rules and Statutes. It's several hundred pages long, and it defines different things we have to do when we spend public money to comply with state regulations and statutes. They do give public agencies like Forest Grove 3 ways to buy construction. One way is called design bid build, and that's where you hire a designer to do a design. You decide how you want to go to the market. You can go to the market to a select group of bidders, and then you are awarding the project to the responsible low bidder. It's used a lot. It can work wonderfully. It comes with certain risks in that you don't know who's doing all the subcontracting work. So the contractors, when they're deciding, I need work, sometimes are a little aggressive and sometimes look to make money up in other ways, many times change orders. We use it a lot. When we do use it, we do a select list, and that gets us to a higher quality firm, but it still is a relationship that's somewhat competitive. You're asking them to do something for the lowest price they can, and there's some risk associated with that. The second way, which is the least used in the public sector, it is gaining a lot of popularity in Washington. We're starting to do it on certain types of project, and it's called design build. Design build means you have one contract, and under that contract, you hire the designer and the contractor. There's some advantages and disadvantages to that process. One is you have one contract. The other is it blurs that relationship between design and construction. And so many times what happens is the contractor becomes the stronger partner and the leader, and you sometimes miss out on some of the creativity that you look for out of great design and stuff. We use it a lot on mechanical systems where we're not really worried about how it looks, we're worried about how it functions along the way. And the third, and a very popular way, is called CMGC, which is Construction Manager General Contractor. It has a lot of advantages that I want to share with you tonight, but it takes board action to take a project and look at it and say, we think the advantages from this process, CMGC, may be worth us moving away from just the standard competitive way. And we meet weekly here in Forest Grove with our bond management team. Dave joins us, Eileen joins us, Mark joins us, several of my project managers join us. And we started talking several months ago about how we're going to buy this construction. We have a lot of construction to buy. Some construction in front of us, we're going to use what's called a direct purchase program, where we just go hire it from the contractor that does the work. For example, if we need to repair a roof, let's just go hire a roof contractor, save the 15% that a general contractor might add on to that. And we did this in the last bond here and have done a lot of places. And so we are looking for cost-effective ways to buy high-quality construction and construction that the maintenance department doesn't have to fix in the upcoming years. The CMCC process that we're recommending for Cornelius, we think there's 7 reasons for the board to strongly consider this. First and foremost, we're going to get a safety plan from that contractor. We're going to be working on the same campus that students and teachers are in classrooms. When you do that, you need to make safety the #1 priority, and you need to make sure that we separate construction and teaching and learning. And so that safety plan is part of the process. There's other ways that we do it, but we want that contractor who's out there every day, making sure that there's barriers so we can't get students and children into construction. But that safety plan is very important. The other thing, and this has become particularly more significant in the last 3 years, long lead items have been predictable. Used to be doors take a long time to get built in Pennsylvania and shipped out here. Some mechanical equipment, it gets again built in the Midwest or the East Coast. And so getting it built and shipped here, ready for us to install, has taken a lot of special focus. Since COVID, things have changed a lot. Things like emergency generators, 50 weeks from when you order till you might get it. Certain electrical switch gear that we need to transform the power that comes into our building into the power that we use for lights and other stuff. It's now some 40 weeks out. And so managing those long lead items and having the opportunity to go buy them before the documents are done, we could save thousands and thousands by utilizing that process. The third thing we get is accurate cost estimates. Costs have changed a lot in the last 3 years. 4 years ago, we bid an elementary school about your size, and we bought it for about 23 million. Right now, yours is estimated to be 32 million. And we're gonna have to work hard to not go over that, because we could. So those accurate cost estimates that the CMGC firm does will be helpful to help us as the bond management team to say we're safe, or we're a little at risk, and so maybe we need to think of some ways to reduce the cost and manage the cost. One that I'm really excited about is there's a process called value engineering. And what it is you have a contractor and a designer and an owner look at, can we build the same thing differently? For example, if we're going to go build this cabinet, if we build it out of cost-effective products, it might cost $5,000. If we build it out of just things that look great and aren't cost-effective, it might cost $15,000. So what we do is we look for ways to build the same thing differently for less money, and the contractor really leads that. When we were doing the replacement of Brookwood Elementary School in Hillsborough, and I've taken Dave there, the value engineering process reduced the cost $2 million. And so we built the same thing, it's a gorgeous building, we just used different materials and different attachments. The fifth reason we think it's important is the phasing. This project, if we're just to go build that building on a site with nothing else on it, we know when to move dirt in Oregon, not move mud. We know when to get the concrete, we know when to get dry to weather, and we know how to finish the site. This project is very challenging. We're going to have to find a way to build a new building on the same site while we keep the old building operational and safe. And then that last summer, before we open it in September of 2025, that last summer, we have to tear down the old building. We have to replace what the old building sits on with either parking lots or fields, or in most cases, both. And that, for 90 days worth of work, takes a lot of focus and a lot of planning and phasing for the schedule. We also believe that we're going to get a very experienced construction team out in the field. They will like this, but out in the field, it's all led by the superintendent. He's the man, or she's the woman. And the superintendent runs his contract force and is responsible for all the subcontractors. A project like this will probably have 15 subcontractors. There will be times when there's 7 of them on site at the same time, and the superintendent needs to coordinate all that and manage all that. It's like anything else. There's A teams, B teams, and C teams. And we think this process, because who they're going to propose as part of the selection. They get points for strong teams. We think we're gonna get a very experienced team. And then lastly, which might be really important to the board, is local outreach is becoming a really high priority. So that the taxpayers that are paying for the bond have an opportunity to provide materials, service, labor, and that takes a special amount of work. We'll host one that Dave and I and Eileen will reach out to, and we'll get some people who are interested. But when the CMGC firm hosts it, they're paying them the money. They're gonna really come and listen, and that local outreach, and we document, we report back to the board. That local outreach is not something that we people typically get through the other processes. The step our great state wants us to go through is to have the board approve a finding of fact. And it's about a 6-page document. It summarizes 14 other public agencies that have successfully done it. Some have done a lot. Hillsborough, I think we've done 14 CMGC projects there. Your district, in the last one, Forest Grove High School and the replacement of Joe Hill, we're done with CMGC process, looking for many of the same advantages that we're looking for here. The statutes require me to describe what the responsibilities of the CMGC firm. So we would describe what they're doing in the design phase, what they're doing in the bid process, what they do in the construction phase. They also want us to define some rationale to use the process. We have to believe that we don't diminish competition. We'll use a competitive RFP and select from somebody who does the best job in convincing our selection committee that they are the right team for the project. It's complicated because there's going to be multiple construction packages. It's risky because if we do procurement long lead well, it'll help. If we don't, and we have to accelerate things, we have to spend money to get things when we need them. And the procurement of long lead, we hope, and we've done it successfully in the past. We also think that it should reduce the number of change orders. There's change orders in construction. We pay for things we find when we dig. We pay for things we find when we open walls. We pay for things when our architect made a mistake. We have to deal with it along the way. We think that the market conditions give us a lot of reasons to use the process. We agree, we think that the awareness involvement by local contractors will be better through this process. I have to tell you, I believe there's public benefits, and I do. I think the public benefits are that we have a higher percentage of successful completion. The kids are coming in September 2025, no matter what we do. And they're coming on a particular day. And we believe in order to really be ready, you need to have the building done before staff comes back. And we're not painting Saturday night with kids coming in Monday. Teachers don't like that, and they deserve to have the building done. Public safety, I think I've covered that. That we'll have a safety plan. We'll talk about safety every week in construction. Every week that will be an issue. We have to believe that the project is technical complex. I believe it is. It's phased. The market's an issue. We know that we want to buy the best quality we can for the budget, but we can't spend more than we have. And so that makes it technical. Summarizes that we think we're going to save money, reduce schedule risk, that we'll select a qualified firm, we'll have accurate cost data to make decisions, and then we have a great assurance of timely completion and a higher confidence in quality construction. So the process is, you can ask me any questions that you might have. I'll do my best to answer them. If I can't, I'll come back to you. I think I've given you some logical reasons to do the process. We're excited about starting the process, but we need the board to approve the recommendation and ultimately a resolution. So, any questions? Brad?
Hey, Rick, it's Brad.
Brad?
What process did we use with Joseph Gale?
Same process.
So
Exactly.
we use this exact same process with Joseph Gale?
Yes.
Okay. And were there any issues with Joseph Gale using this
Yeah.
process?
There's no perfect way to build. There's documents aren't perfect. Humans make mistakes. We had issues, but we overcame them because we had a team committed to being successful. One of the most interesting things at Joseph Gale, we didn't talk about it a lot because we just dealt with it. But when we started the demolition of the existing building, the existing concrete foundation holding up the building had asbestos in it. We spent 5 times as much because we had to take all of that to a dump that receives hazardous material. Now, the day after we found out about it, we had hired a contractor that specializes in hauling hazardous material, and we were hauling it to the place. So we didn't lose the week or two that you could lose if, you know, you didn't have a great team. So the teamwork that we get, I think, is worth the cost. And I think their reputation is based upon doing a great job. So they're committed from day one until they're complete to do a great job for us. And so we think it's the right process for Cornelius Elementary School.
Thanks, Rick.
Mhm.
When you say that the team that you get is
Yeah.
worth the cost,
Yeah,
what is the cost?
great question. So some costs are equal to other ways we buy it. For an example, we're going to buy 2 cost estimates from somebody, either a professional cost estimating company or a CMGC firm. So that's equal. We won't spend more, we'll spend the same. Value engineering, we're going to pay them to help us build a building for less at the same quality, probably 50 or 60,000. But as I shared with you, the last time I did one just like this, Brookwood, we saved $2 million by value engineering. So I think if you look at costs, we're going to save more than we spend. I can't look in the eye and tell you exactly what that is. I can bring you information as we get further through the process, but I believe, as long, and so do my senior managers, that in the end, it won't cost more. And we're going to spend a little bit for some expertise along the way, but it informs us so we make good decisions.
You mentioned that we'd either be paying for you guys to do something or a different estimating company. So you think that's a wash? You think it'd be the same cost?
It is. Yeah. And I'll tell you this. Do you want to go get a price from somebody who just bought that yesterday? Or do you want to go get a price from somebody who was just told what it was cost? So the contractors buy construction every week. And so their cost estimates tend to be more accurate based upon what's happening right now. I mean, we had years where construction went up 12%, you know, and we lived through it. Historically, it goes up somewhere between 3 and 6, but that's still a lot of money. But having the most accurate cost information, I think, provides value to the district.
This is Kate, and I'm wondering, do you go back and talk to the staff at Joseph Gale and ask them, you know, what really worked well, and what would you have liked different in the building? You know, I've been in that building, and I think all of us have. And the one thought I have is just the idea of all those really large hallways, you know, were for learning centers and that, and it never seemed to materialize. So That's my one question. Will you go back and say what really worked good with this design? What would you like to have seen different from the teachers and staff there? And the second is, I'm sure that you're going to look at climate change and passive solar for the new building.
Great questions. I'll try to answer them individually. We think it's so important to go back to Joe Gale that our current design team and representatives of the district are scheduled to go and walk that building and other buildings in your district specifically to understand what works and maybe more specifically understand what doesn't work. And so those are already scheduled.
They actually done. We already walked them last Thursday.
Oh, that's great. The one thing that was a disappointment for me was that there wasn't adequate bookshelves, etc., for the library. The library was already challenged by the time they got there. You know, they just didn't have enough room. So as a board member, and also, you know, I think that we really need to look at the design of the library to make sure that we're not only thinking of just today, but you know, 5 years, 10 years down the road, and the creative environment that we would like to see the libraries evolve to.
Okay, that's great. It's what I've watched, and I'm not saying it's good. The size of libraries has been reducing because the volumes have been electronic in different ways. In some schools, we're building the same library and we're just using it as flexible space. They can have meetings in there. They can do other things in the library. So we should be mindful of not minimizing its long-term use by making it too small.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that. And then to your other excellent question about sustainability, things are changing. The codes in Oregon require us to build efficient buildings. I mean, the energy codes, our buildings don't lose heat to the outside as much as buildings 50 years ago did. They don't increase in heat from solar gain as much as buildings 50 years ago did. But the technology is changing all the time. There are cities in America that are saying in 5 years, we're not using natural gas. And so Dave and I were talking about that today, is we need to look at what's going to be happening 15 years from now and not now. The cost to heat a building with electricity is not that much less than the cost to heat a building with gas. And so we'll look at it. It's interesting as we study utility costs, it's more expensive to cool buildings now, because what happens is, let's just say we're in October. We heat the building up, in walks 500 heaters. And so we are sometimes cooling the space to make the learning environment the best we can, and the outside temperature is 70. One of the things that's happened, and we really believe in it, is a process called economizers. Where in Oregon, when we want to cool, take 65, 70 degree weather from the outside and just bring it inside. Don't cool it, just bring it in. It will cool the space. And we're seeing higher percentage of economizers being invested in now. And so we'll look at all those things as we go through the design process. But thanks for bringing that up.
Will you consider solar panels for the new school?
Yes, it's a requirement now. So the state, to nudge public agencies, has said you have to spend 1.5% of the construction cost, which is going to be somewhere around 35 million, on alternative energy. It can be geothermal, which doesn't pencil in the valley yet, but could be solar panels. in Hillsborough, where we took what we had to spend on solar and invested it all on one campus, it's turning into a teaching opportunity to not only use the solar panels to generate power, but in their curriculum, teach the students that that's an alternative source. In Germany, they're putting solar panels on the outside of buildings, the whole thing, because they know that eventually it pays off. In Oregon, it's not there yet, but yeah, Dave has said, we're gonna do solar panels. There are some grants out there that may help us do it, because there's a lot of people interested in passive ways to generate electricity in Oregon. Any other questions?
One last question, or comment is, you know, Biden's administration is putting dollars out there for solar. And,
Yep.
you know, perhaps contacting Wyden and Merkel and see if they could help get you some money for this project.
Yeah, it's already predicted. We use some consultants to monitor what's coming, and we heard about this like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, and so we reached out to our consultant, and they say it's going to come out in packages. The first package is somewhere between 80 and a half a billion. And then the next ones are just going to keep it going. And so we already, I think, have our number established for the application process, but we'll watch that very closely. And if you hear anything in your travels, please let Eileen or Dave know as well. So,
Okay.
do we get to, I'll sit down and let you.
Yep. Okay. Sure, you want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that the board of directors, acting in the capacity of the local contract review board, review and approve the findings and facts supporting a specific exemption from competitive bidding requirements for the use of the construction management general contractor process for the project at Cornelius Elementary School.
Second,
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll do a roll call vote. And yes.
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank
you. No. Okay, two other action items, architectural services for Cornelius Elementary School replacement.
Thank you. So tonight, the first one we have is Cornelius Architectural Services, for the replacement elementary school. In October, we issued the bond architectural services RFP, and this allowed qualified firms to submit proposals for either Cornelius Elementary School replacement or our other bond services, or both. So we did one process for all of the architectural services for all of our bond projects, and we had 14 firms submit proposals. 9 of them submitted proposals for Cornelius Architectural Services specifically. After the scoring committee evaluated all of the proposals, they recommended 4 firms for interview. We interviewed DLR, Soderstrom, Malum, and Brick. And after interviews and careful consideration, the interview committee is recommending that the board approve Malum Architects for the replacement of Cornelius Elementary School.
How come? How come Malum out of those other 4, or those other 3?
They have a great proposal. They came to the table. They had really good community engagement plan and process. They have a lot of experience with our district already. They did Joseph Gale. There was a lot of really good qualities of Malum specifically. All of them were really highly qualified. Malum just stood out overall. Is there anything? Dave?
No, I would say of the folks who interviewed with us, they were all very, we saw some of the best teams in the Northwest. But Malum's presentation and the way that they want to connect with our community, it was well over the top. They also have, the team that they brought, I think is probably, they're just extremely talented. So not only could they do the community engagement, but they're going to produce documents that are accurate and ready to buildable, that's the whole piece right now is that in creating documents, we have to be able to build. Any kind of change order in this process is just money going away. So your motion to do the CMGC and our choice of name was around who's going to produce the best, not only well-designed, but the best construction documents so that our contractors can give us accurate prices and build quality buildings. So that's all of this is kind of leading up to that place. And I know Brad sat on the one set of committees and Mark sat on the other. So I would open it to them if you have any feedback on kind of what you saw in those views.
I would just reinforce exactly what Dave and Eileen just said. Malum was my choice also during the process. I guess just they had a strong team. There weren't any weak team members that presented, and they had a clear idea about what our district needed, and there was a clear process that they planned on following. And I think that just listening to them and looking at what the documents they put together, they were, in my mind, they were way above the other three.
I know Brad was here, he's been here forever and ever, but Eileen, were you here when they did Joseph Gale? I'm wondering if Brad, I was just wondering if you haven't remembered, did you guys have success with Malin and not a bunch of the change orders, and you have trust in them built upon from the Joseph Gale experience?
Yeah, from what I can remember, there were some change orders, but it wasn't excessive. I remember the asbestos thing coming up that Rick talked about. But overall, working with Mike and some of the other people that were involved closely with the project, they were real happy with Malin.
We've continued to use Malin for other architectural services across the district since the last one. So they have really been a good partner with us over the last 10 years.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Any other questions? No, okay. All right.
I move that the board approves Malum Architects for architectural services on the Cornelius Elementary School replacement project utilizing 2022 bond funds. The contract be negotiated and approved by the business manager.
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded. We'll go vote. Kate?
Yes.
Yes. I think we've been lost. Hello? I think we're lost, Kate.
Yes, they did vote.
Can you hear
Okay.
it?
Yeah, you hear it now. Yeah.
Now we can.
Welcome back.
So for all of the other bond projects outside of Cornelius Elementary School, of the 14 proposals that we received through the same process as the last one, all 14 requested to be part of the other bond projects. The scoring committee reviewed all proposals and recommended that 6 firms be interviewed to provide the services. We interviewed DLR, Soderstrom, BBL, CETA, Malum, and Brick Architecture. And after the interview process and consideration, the committee is recommending that the board select both Malum and BBL for the other architectural services. The selection of 2 is to make sure that the work is distributed, and also with selecting Malum, we get that consistent architectural services. So our pre-Ks can be the same from what we developed at Cornelius Elementary School to the other buildings. And the high school CTE early learning is going to be a similar So it all is cohesive between all of the buildings. So we wanted to select Malem to do certain projects and then BBL to do the remaining.
Yeah, like what is an example of a project that BBL will do?
It'll be, we have the dance PE space, if there's roofing,
HVAC,
HVAC, so
flooring.
all of the other architectural services. It won't be any of the necessarily the major projects, because Malem would have the ones related to early learning specifically.
We've also gone through and looked at all of the projects to figure out which ones we're gonna drive by direct from them, which ones do we need architecture input on. So there's a lot of variation there.
And the interview committee just felt like the BBL architects was the one to be able to provide us that service for our smaller projects and not the grand scope ones that we wanted to have consistency with.
Okay, any questions? No, okay.
Okay, I will move that the board approves Malem Architects and BBL Architects for architectural services on the other bond projects utilizing 2022 bond funds. The contracts for these projects will be negotiated and approved by the business manager for each major project.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second it.
Okay. Roll call vote. So I'm a yes.
Yes,
No?
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, okay. All right, those motions pass. Thank you. All right, future board, future action items. Are there any items board members would like to add to the current list? Or are there any committees or other activities board members have attended that they would like to report on? No, and no. Okay. All right, the district needs one. I think Mr. Parker spoke
Yeah.
about this a little bit.
It's written here, but there's basically two things we're looking for. At the end of this month, we've got strategic planning starting, and it'll basically be 3 meetings. January 31st, March 7th, and May 9th. Would really like to have 2 board members take part in that. It's an important process for us to get a formal plan moving forward. So contact me if you're interested in that, but we really do need 2 folks involved with that. And then the last one is just what I talked about earlier. It has the actual dates there of the meetings. And again, we'd like to have a board member participate on the Cornelius design team. I already messed that up, Kathy.
Sorry.
You got it?
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to talk about it earlier.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
that's what happens when she's not here at the start.
Yeah. Okay, so those are the future action items and information. There's just a couple of other comments here that in the packet is the enrollment report. The January 3rd, 2023 enrollment report was included in the packet. And then the monthly financial report was also included in the packet. So those were in the packets. And lastly, there'll be no further business. The meeting was adjourned at 7:55 p.m. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, long day, but thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.